On this episode of Travelogue, we head out to Tengchong. This city embodies a spirit of unique charm and grace. Embrace its quaint lifestyle with volcanic rocks as cobblestone streets. This city even has a special secret, washing huts as venues where lovers and families are reunited. So get ready and refresh your spirit in Tengchong.
Tengchong is a small town located at the most southwestern tip of China. It was once considered the furthest point from the capital, but it's pretty easy to get to nowadays. It's a small place, but it's definitely charming. Join us as we continue our journey. Welcome back to Travelogue. I'm Michelle Lin. The village of Heshun lies 4 kilometers away from Tengchong town. That's 10 minutes by taxi or one of the minibuses. Even though Heshun was voted the most charming village in China in 2005, you still won't find many tourists here. Located on the southwestern Silk Road, this 600-year-old village is known as an overseas Chinese town. It's pretty confusing terminology until it's explained to you. You see, in the past, Heshun was one of the most remote villages in China, and because of this, most people found it hard to make a living here. So a good portion of the young men traveled to Myanmar, other parts of Southeast Asia, or Europe to work and support their families. Many of them returned home to retire, but others remained overseas and thus became members of the first generation of overseas Chinese residents. If you check the internet, you'll find references to Heshun being a retirement village, but I can tell you that paints a highly inaccurate picture of this quaint and culturally significant village. Before I came, I read a little online about this town called Heshun, and I thought it might be quite an interesting visit because in 2005, it won the most charmed town across China. And that's not a small award because there are a lot more famous towns in the north of China, such as Xitang or Zhejiang. But why did Heshun win this award? It's lesser known, it's smaller, maybe it's a little more quaint, but I'm going to go and see and find out. When you think of retirement villages, you probably think of places like Florida, where the elderly flock to enjoy a tranquil old age. But that's not Heshun. It's quiet, yes, and it's a great place to relax, but it's by no means just for the elderly. It's somewhere that has placed great emphasis on maintaining its own history and culture, as well as its past influence from Southeast Asia and Europe. Even though Heshun is quite well known in China, there's very little mention of it overseas. Yet, much of the village's upkeep is paid for by its overseas residents who may not have returned home in a while, but who are still keen to see its culture and beauty maintained. One of the village's main attractions and its pride is the local library, which was listed as a provincial cultural relic in China in 1980. Wow, library. I haven't been into one of these in like forever. So you can come here and read the news daily, like any other library. But this library in particular is really special because it started in 1928, and at that time, not many villages had libraries like this big. The men here would go away to work and they would come back with stacks and stacks of books to fill their library because they thought it was really important to have, literature around. Today, the library boasts 70,000 books and counting. Here, you'll be able to find literature on numerous topics, including one-off copies of ancient works not available anywhere else. The annual boarding fee is 5 kwai, and it's not just limited to the locals. Tourists are welcome to borrow the books too, as long as they return them within the year. Not a bad excuse to revisit. In rural China, villages often have little time or opportunity for reading. But here in Heshun, they are firm believers in building up their knowledge. So it's common to find people reading or surfing the internet after work. It's no surprise to find that the village is home to some of the most renowned scholars in China's history, the most famous being Ai Siqi, a philosopher who has been a major influence in China since the mid-1930s. The porous volcanic rock used for the structures was fitted with the same care that has been taken to preserve the village's history. You'll find that many of Heshun's pathways are studded with volcanic cobblestones. These paths link the 1,300 homes here, most of which were built during the Qing dynasty over 300 years ago.
See, this wall here, it's made from rock from the volcanoes because in Heshun village, there are a ton of volcanoes surrounding the area. So the locals have used the stone to build their homes and buildings. And you see the natural formation of the rock, and it's really beautiful. And what they do to build them is they just cut out the stone and stick them in. They don't use sealants, no cement, and it lasts too because this wall here is over 100 years old.
While Yunnan is famous for its ethnic diversity, the residents of Heshun are mostly Han. Many of them can claim an ancestry that dates back to the Ming dynasty. In the 14th century, Emperor Hongwu introduced a policy of dispatching militia from various parts of central China to Yunnan. After completing their service, many of the soldiers chose to stay on in the area and chose to settle in Heshun. In the village, there are 8 ancestral halls belonging to affluent families who, though they no longer live in Heshun, still send funds from overseas to maintain the buildings. It's their way of recognizing their family history and paying tribute to their ancestors while remembering their roots. Since most of the families involved are Han, you'll find that the buildings reflect a northern Chinese architectural style, although there is a slight Southeast Asian influence. One of the first things that will catch your eye when you arrive in Heshun is the washing huts. Standing beside the river near the village entrance, there are 6 of them altogether, built in different styles. Back in the Qing dynasty, these washing huts were built as an act of love by the men who traveled overseas in search of work for the women in their lives. The huts were places where the women could wash their clothing in the river, sheltered from the sun and rain. They were built near the village entrance so that the women would be able to see the men when they eventually returned home from overseas. The washing huts had a practical function, but they were also venues where lovers and families were reunited, sometimes after many years apart.
Tengzhou is really famous for making rice calligraphy paper, but if you come to Heshun, you can see it made in the traditional manner. Cool. 我能试试做这个吗？
可以呀。
可以。你教我吧，我不会。
看好，我先做给你一张看。
好。
我这边1色，然后再朝这边1色。
要放2个是吗
？2色。
嗯。哎。
这样它就1张纸。然后把它反扣到这边来，这边就多1张纸。
啊。
这样1张纸就放完全。
I think I'm kind of hopeless at this. Sure. He's just said that I've just bought the paper again, so 我觉得我给你做吧。
It may look easy, but the untrained hand probably won't be able to transform pulp into paper quite as easily as my current mentor. He's been doing this for more than 10 years, and while it's second nature to him, it's proven a lot more difficult for me. So I think I'll just leave it to the experts and feed my shopping habit instead. Few people have much use for calligraphy paper these days, but handmade paper is always a good souvenir or present. I think knowing how much effort goes into producing a sheet of paper makes it that bit more special. As you wander around the alleys and older parts of Heshun, you'll find rattan furniture shops set up by families who've been practicing this craft for many generations. The rattan is brought across the border from Myanmar and put through a careful selection process before being transformed into furniture. A custom-made side table takes about a week to make and a chair about 3 days, but smaller items are available to buy on the spot. You'll also find household items used in local Chinese villages here, but bear in mind that they're probably woven not from rattan, but from bamboo. Rattan is one of the oldest raw fibers used for making furniture today. The rattan vine grows naturally in jungles throughout Southeast Asia. Its rate of growth is actually sped up after being cut, so even the most environmentally conscious people can't disapprove. It's a lot stronger than cloth or leather. Some of the chairs in the shop are over 30 years old and still in good shape. While wicker is the general term used for woven furniture, rattan, especially the honey variety from Southeast Asia, is the most durable and converted. That's a tip in case you decide to buy some. Of course, the handiwork tends to vary according to where the rattan furniture is made, so the stuff you find in Heshun won't be the same as what you get in Laos or Indonesia. The Yunnan-Burma Anti-Japanese War Museum is the first non-governmental museum highlighting Second World War history along the Sino-Myanmar border. It commemorates the combined efforts made by the Chinese military and the Allied forces against the Japanese. Opened in July 2005, the museum is located in what used to be the headquarters of the 20th Army Group of the Chinese Expeditionary Force. A great deal of renovation work was done to make it look like the old headquarters. The Flying Tigers were the first American volunteers to assist the Chinese Air Force. They helped defend the Chinese people in some of the bloodiest battles that occurred in the Tongchong area from 1942 to 1944. You'll find the remains of some of their planes at the museum, as well as other memorabilia left over from the war. Now, some of the documentation is quite disturbing, but it is an important part of Tongchong's history, and the museum is a must-see. It's interesting to know that the new airport in Tongchong is named Hump Airport, and the road to the airport, Flying Tigers Road, in commemoration of the air route that made such a vital contribution to victory over the Japanese, and of the American pilots who flew along it.
You know, war is a really, really horrific thing. But even in spite of all the tragedy and, you know, all the grief, beautiful stories can come out of it. See, for example, with this. During the war, an American soldier carved out 2 doves on a bullet shell. You'll see the original in the museum, but the villages have made a large version so that they can come here and be reminded of all the bad things that have happened and how they've overcome it, and how there's peace now.
These days, Heshun is a peaceful place. Heshun, in fact, means peace and harmony. The name suggests a place where neighbors live alongside one another on friendly terms. If you decide to linger here for a day or two, I'm sure you'll quickly end up recognizing your neighbors as you bump into them on your treks through the village. And because the lifestyle has remained relatively unchanged, aside from certain amenities being upgraded, you'll get an authentic, albeit cleaner experience of Chinese village life. Nowadays, many of the villages have taken to converting their homes into bed and breakfast. In general, they are trying to share their culture and lifestyles with people who have taken the trouble to travel here. And for the tourists, it's a relaxing way to experience Heshun without a rambling tour guide dictating your every movement. Staying here is inexpensive, and if you have squat toilet phobia, you'll be happy to know that most of the rooms include modern toilets.
这一年四季都有花开，这几天开的叫虎头兰。
你自己种的？
啊，这我老公种的。然后我买了很多这些灯，这是美国的，这是英国的，这几个是德国的灯。
你在哪买的？
在我们这和顺又叫万国博物馆，很多国家的东西都会在这留下来。
哦，是吗？
哎，
可以买的。
哎，可以买到。
对。
然后买回来可以。就是这种，我们是马帮驮回来的，所以这些马帮的东西会有一些。来，咱们进来看看这叶子。这是一把德国的老锁，你看100多年都还能用。你试一下。
This is really cool. Look at this. It's an old German lock that they've kept for over 100 years, and you can still use it today. 挺酷的，你需要收的吗？
是。
Need to fix it every once in a while, but it still works.
然后这是一个合欢桌。
I stayed with Chunjie, a woman who has grown up in Heshun and loves the life here so much that she splits her time between showing visitors the sights of her village and collecting antiques. Her house is filled with Chinese antiques, but her collection also includes oil lamps and other household items brought back from Europe by village men who worked abroad in the past. Chunjie tells me that she'll soon be opening a museum devoted to items once used by Heshun's women.
对，挺好看的。
这桌子可以打开，就是一打开的话，也就像一个吧台一样，要喝酒。要这样的话，很简单。这样就打开。把这板凳拿过来，来，你坐着试试，舒不舒服
？If I want to have a drink, this is what I'm going to be sitting.
喝杯茶。
不用了，哦，谢谢谢谢。
不用谢。
You can sit here, sip your tea, you know, drink a beer.
这是红茶。
Take down a couple shots. 哦，谢谢。喝点很好 ，red tea， 红茶。Cheers.
We arrived just in time to help prepare for Duanwu Festival, which you probably know as Dragon Boat Festival. Chunjie had decided to make rice dumplings for her guests, so if you plan your visit for around the same time next year, she'll probably teach you how to make them too.
Okay, my grand taught me this when I was really young, but this is far more complicated. Do you know, I think I did the right thing when I decided to come and stay here for the night, because, I mean, you wouldn't get the same experience at any hotel. Who's going to teach you how to wrap a rice dumpling? None of the hotel staff are going to do that. This is fun. But, you know, I think it's really good to, live in little hostels and stuff, because, I mean, if you go to a little village, you know, you don't want to stay anywhere commercial. You want to stay at, little quaint places where you feel comfortable and it's quiet, and, you know, you can learn all sorts of different things from the locals. So I'm experiencing the Heshun lifestyle now. Except I need a little bit more practice, obviously. Okay,
比较软的会容易一点，但是我觉得还是不容易，还是不容易。I'm not an early bird by nature, but mornings in Heshen are so beautiful that they're well worth getting up for. The fact that it gets a little hot in the afternoons was also a motivation to join in the lively morning activities. During my wanderings, I was surprised to find a group of village elders playing croquet. While it wouldn't have been out of place in Paris, this is the first time I've ever actually seen it played in China. It made me realize that the men who worked overseas didn't just bring back material goods with them. They also brought home what was considered the popular culture of the day. It's no wonder they call Heshen the town of overseas Chinese. The men who left this place were among the first expatriates from China. Surrounded by the locals at the daily market, I can't help wondering at how families still encourage their young to go abroad in search of their fortunes. This pioneering spirit is an inspiration. While most mothers would prefer their children to stay at home, the young here are taught to embrace and experience a life that's not part of their own culture. In the past, the motivation was financial. Nowadays, it's in their spirit. I have to confess that I love markets. Markets are the places where you can really get a feel for the local life. In Heshen's market, you'll find tropical fruits from Yunnan and Myanmar. Now, I grew up with mango trees in my yard, but they sell the best mangoes here. So if you visit, try them. The market sells food and various knickknacks that you may or may not need for your home. But it's the experience that makes the market so exciting. The locals usually get to the market before 10 a.m., so make sure you're up early and join them. And maybe if you get lucky, you'll pick up a few local recipes like I did.
Someone told me that if I come to Heshen, I have to try dolphin. I'm not exactly sure what it is because they couldn't really explain it to me, but it's made out of beans. And this shop here has been operating for over 4 generations, so we gotta try their dolphin.
好吃
是吗？
云南有很多小吃，但是豆粉就是主要的，每个地方都很多，每个地方的调料不一样。
是你的家是有什么不一样的？
我家的一个调料，还有那个豆粉口感比较细腻润滑，还有这个调料是当天做，都比较新鲜的。
Soy sauce, chili，
辣椒油，这是我家特制香料。
有special sauce, secret sauce。
有5种香料以上的，这是很有特色的当地香料。麻油
，OK，
香菜、蒜泥
，coriander or parsley, garlic，
还有香水，就专门配豆粉。
The family has been making dolphin for 4 generations. The girl's grandmother is now 80, and she still gets up every morning to help the family make it. It's a must-try if you visit. You'll never taste anything quite like it.
The shop might be really small, but it's really kind of cool sitting down here, you know, eating. Hey guys. Hi.
Hi. Welcome to Zhongguo.
Wow, thank you. Where are you guys from?
I'm from Italy.
You?
From Milano, yes, from Milano.
As well? What are you guys doing in China? Are you on holiday or do you work here?
No, we love China so much.
Yeah.
We want to stay here as much as possible.
Yeah. Why did you decide to come to Heshen?
Here?
Yeah.
The city is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful. People so friendly.
Yeah.
Food so good. Too much food. I think this is one of the most beautiful cities in China.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is very high praise.
For us, it's better to join the people, also from the countryside. It's not a problem.
You've been to a lot of places. Look at it. Well-traveled Matt, and he's saying this place is good, so it's good.
33 years old.
Wow.
But no Italy. We are from Italy. No Italian flag. No Italian
No, you guys are from Italy. No Italian
Yeah,
flag.
okay.
Where's your national pride?
Parental, because of parental. Anyway, if you are interested in Chinese roots, you must come here. If you are not interested, you stay home. But if you are interested, you come.
Good job.
As you travel back to Tengchong, you'll realize that it's not just the people in Heshen who enjoy a peaceful and happy life. The lifestyle of the people in Tengchong isn't that different, even if it's in a more urban environment. Perhaps it's in the refreshingly clean air or a result of the amazing weather that you'll find in most parts of Yunnan. But whatever it is, we all need a little of it every once in a while to remind us that life can be fun and isn't always a rat race. This is something the people in Heshen and Tengchong will help you remember.
The weather in Yunnan may change very dramatically from moment to moment, but I guarantee your experience won't, because they place a lot of importance in maintaining their lifestyles. It's my first time in Tengchong, Yunnan, but because Tengchong has given me such a great impression of this place, I'm pretty sure it won't be my last. Thanks for watching Travelogue. I'm Michelle Lean. I'll see you next time, but in the meantime, keep those bags packed.
In Tengchong.
Heshen was voted the most charming village in China in 2005, you still won't find many tourists here. Located on the southwestern Silk Road, this 600-year-old village is known as an overseas Chinese town. It's pretty confusing terminology until it's explained to you. You see, in the past, Heshen was one of the most remote villages in China, and because of this, most people found it hard to make a living here. So a good portion of the young men traveled to Myanmar, other parts of Southeast Asia, or Europe to work and support their families. Many of them returned home to retire, but others remained overseas and thus became members of the first generation of overseas Chinese residents. If you check the internet, you'll find references to Heshen being a retirement village, but I can tell you that paints a highly inaccurate picture of this quaint and culturally significant village.
Before I came, I read a little online about this town called Heshen, and I thought it might be quite an interesting.
On this episode of Travelogue, we head out to Tengchong. This city embodies a spirit of unique charm and grace. Embrace its quaint lifestyle with volcanic rocks as cobblestone streets. This city even has a special secret, washing huts as venues where lovers and families are reunited. So get ready and refresh your spirit.
Tengchong is a small town located at the most southwestern tip of China. It was once considered the furthest point from the capital, but it's pretty easy to get to nowadays. It's a small place, but it's definitely charming. Join us as we continue our journey. Welcome back to Travelogue. I'm Michelle Lean.
The village of Heshen lies 4 kilometers away from Tengchong town. That's 10 minutes by taxi or one of the minibuses. Even though